The Bulls, after what we thought was a decent start to the season, have just completely fell apart so far. Some players have looked great to start the season, some big surprises, and we have some teams that have been big surprises so far as well. We're going to cover all that and more. Another episode of. All right, let's hop into the Bulls stuff first because you and I are just so done with this team. Because we
Yeah, I'm
started the
over it.
season off, we beat Boston, we beat Miami, we beat Brooklyn, we were 5-4. We're like, okay, we're beating good teams, we're playing well. And now we're 6-8. I think we've lost 4 or 5 games, and we choked against New Orleans. We were handled by Denver, and those are just and Toronto beat us bad when we lost them just because we just out hustled and outworked. And we haven't made any changes. We look like the exact same team post All
Yeah,
Star break
that's
last year. Can't
that's what
rebound,
gets me.
can't defend, and our offense is worse.
Yeah, we always seem to have a weakness on every single night. We either let some random white dude on the Celtics score like 25 points, or we just get torn apart by Jokic without even him shooting the ball. It was
Exactly.
insane what he did to us.
Oh,
And
he just picked us apart.
yeah, it's bad. And the thing is, where do we go from here? I mean, we have to wait for Lonzo Ball, like you said earlier. Wait for Lonzo Ball to come back to see if we're even a competent team with our starting point guard.
Right.
But by that time, we could be 10 games under 500.
Exactly. And the thing is, everyone in the NBA is good now. Even the bad teams. Like, there's probably 6 to 8 teams that are actually bad that you consider guaranteed wins or should wins. One of them is
Maybe.
Orlando. We play them Friday. We need to win that game.
And we
The
probably
rest
won't.
of, but there's like 20 teams in the league where you got to fight to win every night.
Yeah.
There's not gimme games anymore really these days. Every team can compete. And the Bulls also, we always play down to our level of competition, and then we're not ready for the beginning of the games that matter. Like Denver just came out of the gate and kicked us in the mouth. We just against New Orleans, we played great to the fourth quarter. We're 0-6 in clutch games this year, which are games like
Yeah.
decided by 5 points or less, or that are within 5 points within 5 minutes. And we're
And
0
we
and
were
6.
third in that last year. We were
Right.
25 and 16.
And we're
Now
not
we're
winning those
0
games.
and
And
6.
that's subject to change. We're not gonna not win any of those games. But it goes into some of our players and it goes into coaching, and we'll touch on both of those right now. Let's talk about players first, because I decided to say before the preseason began that once Zach LaVine gets back and is healthy, he could be an MVP candidate. And I have never been so wrong before. He looks terrible.
Yeah.
And I mean,
He
like
doesn't have
Zach Levine's
bounce.
terrible is like an average good, but Zach Levine, he doesn't even look like he cares. He doesn't look like he wants to win. He is slow. He doesn't attack. His shots have not been hitting. He's short on every shot he takes. Have you realized that? It's not long or anything. He's short on every shot he takes, which means he has no bounce in him right now. And
Yeah.
speaking of no bounce, he had a wide open layup in the Denver game where he could have just dunked it and he smoked the layup instead.
We're not paying 40 plus $1 million a year for him to score 22 points a game. And
And
that's
that's
all
the
he's
problem.
doing on the court, by the
And
way.
that is the
Not
problem. And
playing
it's an
much defense
inefficient
still.
22 with zero
Yeah,
defense.
it's not great. We need him to score 28 points and actually attack the rack, like draw fouls, not
Right.
these fadeaway
And
jumpers. Some nights he shoots 4 for 16 because of that. It's just
yeah,
really bad.
and he's shooting like 8 threes a game and he's hitting like 2 or 3 on a good night. And I can't have that. Attack the rim. And the other, like the DeMar has been fine. DeMar's been what he is. He's double teamed every game. What's he supposed to do? And Vooch honestly has looked good. I have no complaints about Vooch, but I have complaints about Zach LaVine and not Kobe White. Zach LaVine and Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams
The,
finally has made some progress. I know we touched on it, but it's not enough. It clearly is not enough. He doesn't fit with this lineup at all. And Zach LaVine just is not been Zach LaVine. And I don't know what the problem is, if he's scared or what, if he's just trying to be like ease himself back in. But we can't have that.
no, and when it comes to the deadline, if we're 10 games under 500 at the deadline, what do you do?
I give everyone up. I decide to tank because this year there's someone in the draft. There's 2 players in the draft that can change a franchise. Like Scoot Henderson's flying under the radar because of how good Victor is,
He's
but
so
Scoot
good.
Henderson's going to be a generational talent. He reminds me of Derrick Rose when I watch him play. Did you see the play he had the other day?
Which
There's
one?
some play on Bleacher Report where he just absolutely he took the ball the full length of the court, was incredibly fast, and just last second instead of going for a layup, just dunked it on someone. It's just
Yeah, he's gross. The motor in
oh
him
yeah,
is actually wild. Um, yeah, he's flying under the radar because of Wembanyama. I mean, Wembanyama is just this. Did you see Wembanyama fall, by the way?
yeah, and then he got back up like nothing happened.
Yeah, it was like a elegant little fall. His legs like broke down for a second. It was pretty scary. But yeah, Scoot is quite the point guard, and there's
Yeah,
more guys too behind them who are also really good.
yeah, and I mean, quickly, you said that we need Zach to be averaging 28, and a lot, and some people be like 28 is a lot of points. Yeah, it is, but we have 8 guys in the league averaging over 30. It's not hard to score 30 points in the NBA anymore. I'm sorry, but it's just not. Defense is non-existent for the most part, especially in the regular season. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities for Zach to score 28 points a game. And you can attribute it to his poor shooting, but the reason he's shooting badly is because he's not doing things like getting to the free throw line, getting into the paint. He's just pulling up and taking contested jump shots.
Yep.
And what do you expect to happen?
I mean, 100%. And is he ever going to be able to get that back? That's the question. I mean, he's
That is the question. Because if he's not, I just wasted $40 million in my entire cap space for the next 3 years. But we want to talk about coaching for the Bulls too. This is partly Billy's fault. Billy
for sure.
Donovan, I liked him, and I have liked him so far, and I still think he's a great coach. But he needs to figure out how to get this team to work together on offense. Because DeMar's not going to save us anymore because he's instantly doubled. He's always doubled now, and he's
Always
going to
double.
continue to be doubled. But that means that it should be easy to score. There should be open shots for people. Instead of sticking Javante Green, Alex Caruso, or Goran Dragic in the corner, how about you have them cut to the rim and find like Patrick Williams get 10 points a game off cutting if you
He
wanted
he
to.
easily could. Derek Jones does it all the time when he actually comes in the game.
Yeah.
But
And Patrick
also,
Williams has 10 times the talent Derek Jones has.
when I look at rosters like Toronto yesterday or 2 days ago started a lineup that was all guys 6'9" to 6'7". Five guys, and they looked like really good. Like that's the type of roster I want, not these six
And you know
four
who's coaching
size
Toronto?
power forwards that can't shoot threes very well.
And Nick Nurse is coaching Toronto. Shocker that they're playing well with a coach like that. Like Nick Nurse,
Yeah,
one of the great, is best coaches in the league. And Billy's not a
100%.
bad coach by any means, but he has no idea how to handle this without Lonzo because Lonzo eases the pressure so much when it comes to shooting, who needs to get the ball, when and where. Like you're not doubling DeMar if Lonzo Ball's in the court. I'm sorry, you're not.
You probably can't.
You can't because Lonzo Ball's gonna give you 30 just off threes
Yep.
if you double DeMar the entire game. And if you do double DeMar the entire game, Lonzo Ball is going to find a much better read when he gets the ball to make sure we score. And the problem is Lonzo's going to come back and we're not going to be as good as we think we are because we're putting so much hope in his
So
return
much hope
to
on a
be the
player who
savior.
hasn't played in a year.
Yeah. And that can't be the case. We need to be like over 500 when he comes back because then I'm like, okay, now he makes that difference. He
Yeah,
takes us from a
but
7 or
like
8
you
seed to a
said,
3 or
there are
4.
20 like to 25 actual really good teams in the NBA who could beat us on any given night easily.
Right. And we can also
So
beat them, but we just got to win these. We got to figure it
100% we
out.
can beat them too.
When it comes to
We
winning time in
have
the
the
fourth,
roster, no doubt, but
yeah,
we just can't put it together right now. We have no shot creation outside of DeMar when he's not doubled and Levine. I mean, it's really
and
poor.
I
Caruso
wouldn't even
can't
call
get anything
Levine's shot
going.
creation this year because he's not making anything. At least Demar's still hitting some of these shots that he's accustomed to taking. But
Yeah, and
I mean,
Vooch
the
goes
biggest
through a cycle for me too, where it's just like he plays so well some nights, and then other nights he's just not there.
yeah, and we're all over the place too because like we're still in these games, but I mean, in 2 weeks we could start winning these close games, and we could be talking completely different about the Bulls. But at the
Yep.
moment, we don't look like we have any continuity, and that's a problem because that was the thing that was supposed to be different about our team. Like keeping the
Right.
same roster was supposed to be important, and we haven't made any strides with doing that.
Yeah, and you look at other teams who have been doing that, like for example, the Wizards, who are now 8-6. Their core has played a year together, and they look so much better than they did last
Yep.
year.
The Wizards and the Kings are the two
Yeah, the
teams that we
Kings
are going to
too.
talk about right now. Wizards are 8-6. The Kings are 7 and 6, I think,
Seven
right?
and six. Yeah, they're 7-2 in their
Yeah.
last 9 games.
Darren Fox could be. I mean, he's not like he's improved a ton, but he could be most improved because they're winning now.
Yeah,
And he's a
he's going to be an
consistent
all-star.
26 a game now, too. Well, last year he was not a consistent, but I would not be shocked if Darren Fox gets most improved player because if they continue to win, he's been a huge catalyst and one of the main reasons
Yeah.
why.
He has unmatched speed in the NBA. I mean,
Unmatched.
it is impossible to stay in front of him. And if I think he's shooting like 36, 37% from three, which is like a step up from him usually shooting like 32, 33. So if you have to come out and guard him now, it just adds another element to his game. And like we said too, playing a year, Sabonis and Fox together. Now that
Exactly.
they're playing again, they got Malik Monk, who
Yep.
De'Aaron Fox played with at Kentucky, and they look really good. Keegan Murray
Kevin,
looks good too.
yep. And Kevin Herter's looked pretty good in his role
Yeah,
too. Good pickup for them. Wizards, Kyle Kuzma's looked good. They've won 4 straight without Bradley Beal. And Porzingis has looked much better
Porzingis
than I
is
thought he was
really
going
good.
to look.
Yeah,
Bradley Beal's looked a lot worse, and they're still winning games even without him.
yeah,
Monte
he's like
Morris and
trade
KCP
rumors
or
while they're playing
Monte
well.
Morris and Will Barton were great pickups also.
Yeah, and Hachimura is playing more now. Does Johnny Davis get any minutes?
No.
Johnny.
Denny Advia, he's been fine. Like he's just another solid role player on that team.
Hmm.
But they're built around a lot of solid role players, and if Kuzma continues to take the jump and Beal is who he is, then they have a decent chance to make the playoffs.
They definitely do.
Even though the Bulls should be better than them, the Wizards are playing 10 times better than the Bulls.
Yeah,
Doesn't look like the Bulls
like
care.
as you look at it right now, the Wizards look like a better team than the Bulls
So
for
do the
sure.
Knicks, and the Knicks are 7-7, and the reason they were winning games is because they play hard.
Yeah,
They don't have as much talent as other teams, but they play hard and they
yeah.
defend.
The Heat have kind of pulled it together too. They're looking better than they were to start
I
the
still
year.
not worried about the Heat because until Bam Adebayo takes a jump, I have no faith in them. He's kind of just leveled
True.
out. He
They
hasn't
don't
made
have any.
since
They
the
don't really
bubble.
have
He has not made a jump.
another option, and they need Bam to be that option.
Yeah, and I think you and I both agreed that Tyler Hero was never going to be a second option in the NBA. He was always going to be a great shooter who gets you 15 points. That's about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Um.
let's talk about certain players now too, because there's some players that have had an incredible season. Like we mentioned, 8 guys are averaging over 30. Tatum and Shea are two of those guys. And you want to talk
Yeah.
about Shea first, and then I'll talk about Tatum.
Yeah. This man has been on another level these last couple of games. I think he put up 37 this last game and 37 before. Oh my God. Yeah, averaging 31 and a half on the season
Against
with
good
6
teams too.
assists, 2 steals, and a block and a half a game.
Yeah,
He's averaging a block half.
it's
I
unbelievable.
mean, what else do you want? He's a two-way guy. I don't know how they're carrying. He's carrying that roster. Who's not? It's not the greatest roster to a decent record in the West, which is a tough thing to do.
Yeah, I mean he dropped 37 on the Knicks and Boston, who are supposedly two good defensive teams, and he just picked them apart. They're
Yeah,
winning more
shooting
games
efficient.
now, so he's actually making a difference. And you and I
Yeah,
talked before the show, and we said, he is a top 5 point guard in the league. It's Steph, it's Steph, probably Ja, Dame, Trey, and then it's Shea.
yeah.
Shea's above
If you don't count
CP3,
Luka as a
and
point
it's not
guard.
even a question that Shea is better than CP3 now. Um,
Yeah, I'm over this 2 points for CP3 and 8 assists a game. It's not
yeah,
like,
it's like he's still a good passer, but
yeah,
he's not CP3 anymore.
no. And you gotta expect that. But looking back at this Thunder trade with OKC for Paul George.
Oh yeah,
They gave up Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who's arguably been better than Paul George. I mean, Paul George is still a great player, but the Clippers have managed to do nothing with that, and the Thunder got a quite the amount of picks
yeah.
from.
And a
Uh,
lot of them are paying off. Giddy's paying off. You haven't seen Chet yet, but Chet's gonna be good. Jalen Williams from Santa Clara, right?
yeah, he's
He
been
looks
playing
good.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, his
Shout out to
shot needs to
Malone.
come around, but he's shown good athleticism.
Yeah. Shout out to Finn, your boy, Jalen Williams going
Yeah,
off. Um, then Tatum. Sorry. Let's talk about Tatum. I have religiously hated on Boston on this channel, and I will continue to do so because I hate the Boston Celtics. But
me
I've
as
also
well.
hated on
Yeah,
Tatum, and I just have to admit he's just unbelievable. He's he's probably top 3 MVP candidate with Giannis and Luca. He could be number 1 right
I
now.
agree.
He is number 1
I agree.
on the ladder, but in my personal view, he's probably 2 behind Luca. But he's been on a mission. He's defending, he's scoring, he's making his teammates better, and they're winning. And I just can't even There's nothing I can say to like hate on him anymore because he's just that good. I can hate on Boston. I'm going to continue to hate on Boston. I think the Celtics are the most Boston's the most annoying sports city in the world. But
Yeah,
uh
they're really
Jason
good
Tatum
though.
is Jason Tatum is really fucking good. And
Yeah.
that's just the truth. It
Yeah,
is.
he's helped them win 7 games in a row now. They are 11-3 at the top of the Eastern Conference, and he is their best player for sure. But their whole roster is really good, and they don't have their starting center, Robert Williams, who leads the league in blocks or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean,
I
they're
think
a championship
and
contender.
I think we can just predict now. It's Boston and Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference Finals. Those are the
Yeah,
everyone stays healthy. Those are the two best teams. Milwaukee's been good
Cleveland's
without
really
Middleton.
good.
Milwaukee's been good without Middleton and Ingles, and
Yeah,
Philly's good. And I want to talk about Joel Embiid too because he's been insane. But
that
Philly
first
doesn't have
four
enough
games.
pieces around them to
I don't think they do either.
take Boston or Milwaukee longer than 6 games. Embiid and
I
Harden
agree.
can probably win you maybe 2 or 3 in a series, but you can't. Boston and Milwaukee are just two teams that are way too deep and have too much talent for you to be able to take them 7 games and win that series. That just doesn't usually happen, and it probably won't happen.
Yeah, I also see Cleveland as a team that can contend with the Bucks and the Celtics. I really think they're good. I
No,
really do.
no, no,
They've
no,
lost 4 in a row.
no, 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 no.
100%. Do you know how good both Darius Garland
Good for
and Donovan,
them. Yeah, they're great. They're
they're
fucking
both
fantastic. Donovan Mitchell's an MVP, top 5 MVP conversation so far through the first 15.
and
And Darius
Garland's is
Garland's coming
drop
off a
50.
50-point game. But has Jared Allen been in the playoffs? And if he has he made it past the second round?
Didn't they make the playoffs last year?
No, they lost to Brooklyn in the play-in. And
Oh,
then
in the play-in, that's
He was
right.
with Cleveland. No, he was with Brooklyn with the D-Lo team, and they lost in the first round. And
Right.
they got swept in the first round. No, they lost in 6 to Philly.
Yeah,
Sorry.
they lost in a couple.
Evan
To be
Mobley,
to be
no playoff
fair,
experience. Donovan Mitchell hasn't been past the second round either.
I
And Darius
don't
Garland's never been in the playoffs either.
it doesn't really matter to me. I think their roster is so good top to bottom. Kevin Love's been there before. Rubio's been to the playoffs, I think, a couple times. He hasn't even played yet for them though. Karis LeVert, very good player. He was with the Nets too. So they
I,
have a little bit of playoff
I'm
experience. Not as much as
surprised
the
at
Bucks or
how
the
well
Celtics for
Garland
sure.
and Mitchell have fit for sure. I thought Mitchell was a little bit overrated coming into the season. But you know exactly what the Cavs remind me of, Graham? Us
Hmm.
last year. They're like,
No
oh,
way.
yes, because there's a couple similarities. The
What?
people didn't think DeMar Zach would work. They were working great. They didn't think that the role players around us would be good. So Caruso, Vooch, they were playing pretty well. Same thing with Javante Green. And then Patrick Williams doing fine before he got injured last year. And now you look at Cleveland, Okoro, Kevin Love, Ricky Rubio, even though he hasn't played yet, like you said, Allen and Mobley. I think they have more talent than the Bulls did last year.
100%.
But in terms of like I don't want to just believe it. It may be fool's gold. I want to see it happen throughout the entire season. And that's
Okay.
what everyone said about us last year. And you and I were so pissed about how annoying it was. But they were all right. They were right about us.
Yeah, they were. We needed to see what we
Yeah.
actually were.
So before I just hop on the Cleveland bandwagon, let me see 20 to
Okay.
25 more games without injuries and how they play against the teams that are good late in the season. It's one we played well against teams that were supposed to be good early in the season last year. And then all the teams that ended up being the top 4 seeds, we sucked against in the end of the year.
That's
So
true.
let's see how everything looks cuz Boston
I'm
Milwaukee have
still
proven
on
it.
the wagon. I'm on the wagon.
Cleveland's never proven it. We didn't prove it last year. I mean, Boston, Cleveland. That's why no one or Boston, Milwaukee, Philly's
They've
proven they
proven
can
it.
make it to the playoffs. No one's like worried about Golden State or Miami because they proved they'll be fine in the past.
Right. Right.
Cleveland hasn't proved anything yet to me. And when they do, then I will believe them. But I haven't seen anything
I
that
just think that roster top to bottom is maybe the best in the league. It's so good.
I agree. They're very talented, an incredibly talented roster. But
But I do see what you're saying. They've lost 4 games in a row. Yeah, we got to see what they do. Give them
yeah.
20 more games to
And like
really
we gotta
figure
see
it
if
out.
I don't think they can make a finals run unless Mobley becomes like 18 and 10 consistently, and he's not there yet. He has games where he has 27, then he
Yeah.
has games where he has 8. So let's see a consistent like 16 from him a night.
Okay.
But that'll be it for today's episode. We'll continue to post more as more stuff comes out. I'm praying for a Bulls win tonight because we desperately need one against the Pelicans, especially going into a game against Orlando. Those are two games. If you win tonight, you can win against Orlando. You're 500 again.
Back to
I
500.
won't be as annoyed. But until next time, we'll
We'll
see
see
you
if
guys
that
later.
happens.
Have a good one, and thank you for watching.